How do you know what this moment is asking you to do? About 30 years ago, I had the privilege of working alongside a very successful entrepreneur. He had already built his first company and taken it public. He was now starting something relatively new, a restaurant. I could see its potential, so I was curious about one thing. Why wasn't he expanding more quickly? He could certainly afford to. He had the experience, the resources, and the ambition. But he told me, I am a dragon in the water. If I become too aggressive now, I will be shut down. At that time, he was not trying to fly. He was quietly building the systems that would eventually allow him to fly. Refining operations, strengthening the foundations, and preparing the business to grow. Today, it has grown into the country's most valuable restaurant chain, surpassing its competitors in both valuation and sales volume. What appeared to be hesitation was not hesitation at all. He was preparing the business for flight. He understood something many ambitious people overlook. Having the power to move does not mean that this is the time to move. But how did he know? How do we know when to wait, when to step forward, and when to act with everything we have? Humanity has been intrigued by this question for thousands of years. One of the oldest and most profound attempts to understand it is found in the Yijing, the Book of Changes. Many people find the Yijing intimidating. It contains strange-looking hexagrams, ancient images, and language that can appear mysterious. But beneath all this lies a very practical question. What is happening at this moment, and what does this moment allow? The Yijing teaches us that timing is not simply a matter of choosing the right day. Timing is about understanding our position within a changing situation. Every situation begins somewhere. It develops, it gathers momentum, it reaches maturity, and eventually it changes. If we can recognize where we are in that process, we can better understand what to do. The Yijing represents this through hexagrams, figures made out of 6 lines. Each line represents a different position within the development of a situation. The lines are read from the bottom upward. And the first hexagram, Qian, the creative, describes these stages through the journey of a dragon. The dragon possesses tremendous power from the beginning, but it doesn't use that power in the same way at every stage. At the first stage, the dragon remains hidden beneath the water. The Yijing says, hidden dragon do not use. This does not mean that we do nothing. It means that our power is still developing beneath the surface. This is a time to learn, to practice, to build our capability, to strengthen the foundations that will eventually support us. That was the position of the entrepreneur. He had already taken one company public. He had experience, resources, and ambition. But in the restaurant business, he was beginning again. His previous success did not change his present position. This is an important distinction. Your ability and your position are not always the same. You may have enormous ability, but if your position is not yet ready, using that ability too aggressively can make you vulnerable. A seed may contain everything it needs to become a tree, but it still has to take root before it can grow towards the sky. The second stage says, the dragon appears in the field. What was hidden can now begin to be seen. You have learned something, you have built something, perhaps your work is beginning to produce result. Now, you should not remain hidden forever. This may be the time to share your work, to accept greater responsibility, or to find people who can recognize and support your ability. You are not yet flying, but neither should you continue behaving as though you have nothing to offer. There is a time to prepare quietly, and there is a time to allow the world to see what you have prepared. Then comes the third stage. The dragon is progressing, but the position is not yet secure. The I Ching describes a person working diligently throughout the day and remaining vigilant at night. This is often the most demanding stage. Your efforts are beginning to be recognized, opportunities are appearing, momentum is growing, but what has been built can still be lost. This is not the time to become careless. Early success can be more dangerous than no success at all because it can make us believe we have already arrived. So we continue working, we remain attentive, we strengthen what is still weak. The first signs of success are not permission to stop preparing. And the fourth stage, the dragon approaches the abyss. It may leap forward or remain where it is. This may sound like indecision, but it is actually a very intelligent position. You are standing at the edge of a major transition. A larger opportunity may be opening, but you do not yet know whether the conditions are fully ready, so you test the moment. You may try a new direction, launch a small pilot, or step into a larger role without assuming that everything will unfold as expected. You advance, but you retain the ability to adjust. At a turning point, we do not always need certainty. Sometimes we need a move that allows us to learn. Then comes the fifth stage. The dragon flies in the heavens. Now, ability, position, and timing have come together. The foundations are strong, the circumstances are favorable, others are ready to support what you are doing. This is no longer the time to hide. It is no longer the time merely to test. The dragon takes full flight. There are moments when restraint is wise, but there are also moments when holding back becomes a failure of timing. When the moment has truly arrived, act fully. This is what the entrepreneur had been preparing for. He was not waiting because he lacked courage. He was waiting until the business had developed the systems, people, and foundations that would allow it to grow without collapsing under its own weight. First, the dragon remained in the water. Then, when the position changed, it flew. But there is one more stage. The sixth stage says, the dragon rises too high and there is regret. The very moment that carried the dragon upward can now carry it too far. If it continues rising simply because rising has brought success, it begins to lose contact with the ground. It becomes separated from the people who supported it. Its strength becomes excess. Its success becomes isolation. We often assume that once we have found the right action, we should simply continue doing more of it. But the sixth stage is not inevitable. This is why the Yijing is called the Book of Changes. It does not describe life as a fixed path carrying us towards an unavoidable ending. A situation can change, and we can change with it. So let us return to the fifth stage, the dragon flying in the heavens. Suppose that at the height of its success, the fifth line changes from an unbroken yang into a receptive yin line. Qian transforms into another hexagram, 大有, great possession. This is one illustration of how change can redirect a situation. At the center of great strength, receptivity appears. The leader begins to listen. The achiever begins to make space for others. The person who has accumulated influence learns how to share it and use it wisely. Success is no longer about rising higher. It becomes the ability to hold abundance without being controlled by it. The dragon does not change because it has failed. It changes because it has succeeded. This is the deeper art of timing. When you are the hidden dragon, prepare. When you appear in the field, step forward. When progress begins, remain vigilant. At the edge of the abyss, test the moment. When the time has arrived, take full flight. And when you reach the height of influence, do not simply continue doing more of what brought you there. Change. Because the right action does not remain right forever. Timing is knowing when to act. Mastery is knowing when the way you act must also change. So perhaps the question is not simply, is this the right time? But where am I now? And what is this moment asking